Let me take this off so it's not in shot.
So I don't need to wear headphones there, like that?
No,
cool.
you're fine.
Alright, cool. No bother.
Right. First of all, tell me a wee bit about why you're here today.
Okay.
Oh, actually, sorry. I need first rule, and I've never done this before.
Really?
First rule of radio, I need you to say your name and your title.
Okay, my name is Frank Toll. I'm a lecturer at the Inverness College UHI, specialised in contemporary art practice, and I'm also a contemporary artist that work with gunpowder and explosives.
Perfect. Firstly, tell me a little bit about why you're here today.
Well, I'm here today to talk about the Humanium Metal Initiative project, which I'm now involved with, and also the fact that I have been exhibiting in the Royal Academies, such as the Royal Ulster Academy, and recently been accepted into the Royal Scotch Academy. So it's been quite an unusual year of the Royal Academies recognising my gunpowder pieces.
Tell me, what exactly is this piece that's in front of us?
The Humanium Metal is basically, it's by ION's Research Development Partner. And it's a metal, U-metal alloy that is made from discommissioned illegal firearms. And what they've done is that they've actually melted the guns and made into this bar metal. And with this metal, they've actually made products such as watches, buttons, electronic goods. But what I have been commissioned to do is that I have been commissioned by ION Swedish Development Partner to work with this metal in powder form to make a brand new colour and a brand new paint, which will be used to make a painting emphasising international global disarmament.
Brand new colour. How exactly will that work? What will a brand new colour be like? Because for some people, they can't imagine what that would be like. Because it's
well, I'm trained as a traditional painter back in my days in Duncan Johnston, and I was taught how to make oil paints, like grind down the dust, the powder, and actually mix it into oil paints and actually make your own colour. I'm going to be doing the same method because I think what it is that these days in art schools, they don't really teach that. But I've always maintained that practice because being an artist, you have to maintain tradition as well as contemporary methods. But for me, I'm going to be the first artist in history to actually work with this metal in powder form to make a completely brand new colour. Now, I don't know how it may look because this bar metal technically has 1.5 AK-47s. So you imagine AK-47s made out of wood, steel, metal, and it's also got copper and nickel. It's a mixture of metals. For me to actually work that in the fine powder form and to make it into a brand new colour using the traditional methods of the old masters, it's something that's quite an unusual approach, but it's also quite an exciting approach because it's never been attempted before, which I'm quite surprised because most things in art has been attempted. But this is the first in history.
Why do you choose to use unconventional methods when it comes to creating pieces like this? Why do you use guns and gunpowder and other bits of metal like this?
I think what it is that, if I'm being really honest, I have been working as an artist since I graduated in 2005, 14 years, and I've been working in the private commercial sector, such as selling work for X amount of money. And I think recently in my own personal life, I felt that a sense of a duty, a sense of obligation to making this world a better place. You could say it's almost like an atonement a personal atonement in my personal life. And it's probably the reason why I've actually decided to take the Humanium Metal. I think what it is to emphasise, I think it's to highlight the fact that I would like to be a better human being by actually contributing to something like this and making like a statement. And then my statement is about global disarmament with the help of with the collaboration with ION Swedish Development Partner, and also with Triva, the watch company as well, which I am working closely with.
And is there a message here about gun violence? I know you had said earlier beforehand about Scotland's history with gun incidents in the past.
I think if you look at Scotland and the Dunblane massacre, when the Dunblane massacre happened, I think that was the first major gun incident in Scotland in the 1990s. And when that happened, Scotland was more or less took actions like New Zealand about disarmament and this really tight gun laws. I think I was still in school when that incident happened, and it still shocked me to this core. And I think by doing this, it's quite ironic for me to do this project, because we talk about years and years later that I'm actually working with with an organisation about global disarmament, and it's in Scotland as well. By working with this metal in Scotland, it's going to make Scotland, especially Inverness, Highlands and the Islands, like a centre of global disarmament research. But in my case, it's more about the creativity sector, creativity and cultural sector. So I feel that by making Scotland part of this international project is quite significant and quite meaningful to the country as a whole, as well as to the Scottish people.
And where will this project be taking place?
The project will be taking place in Inverness because I'm now based in Inverness. I'm a lecturer at the Inverness College UHI. I'll be doing the research. Well, it's in discussion, but we're going to be doing the entire project in Inverness. And with the help of UHI, is to actually make this painting, which is going to be quite a big statement about global disarmament. And I feel that it's also kind of like emphasizing that Scotland has a platform in international contemporary art, and no matter what field. And in my case, it's mainly about humanitarian and social awareness, especially on the illegal firearms.
How does it feel to be the first artist to create a new colour and to be involved in the work that's going on?
Well, at first I thought to myself, what have I got myself into? But I think for me, I've always been inspired by people who innovate in history. I mean, for example, I'm hugely inspired by Steve Jobs with the Apple computer, with the Macintosh computer that he invented, and Ken Miles and Howard Shelby making a Ford Mustang that bet Ferrari in the 1966 Le Mans, which is a film that's going to come up pretty soon. So for me to be on the same platform as pioneers of innovation is a big deal for me, because I looked up to these people when I was young and when I was a student. But now to be on the same platform for them is a major honour and achievement in my part, and also a major challenge. I want to challenge myself in any way possible.
Where do you go after this? Where do you see your work going after this?
To be honest, I mean, it depends. I mean, it's funny because when I decided to do the Humanium project, I think, well, for me, in my personal life, I just changed a completely mental gear set, and I didn't know where I was going. I just thought I'll just do this and see how it goes, and it's developed into this kind of like message of global disarmament. But I can imagine myself working with this material. I mean, I can imagine myself not only we're painting, maybe on like fabric dyes. I mean, I can envision this being it's still like in Swatch watches, or I can imagine this being in Trevas kind of like watch straps or like patterns. The possibilities of this metal is absolutely endless. So I can imagine myself working with this for quite some time.
When people see your work for the first time, what message do you hope to take away from it, or what do you hope they think whenever they see it?
I think for me, it's, if you know Picasso's Guernica painting, which is the massive painting that he painted after the Massacre of Guernica, that had a very, very powerful message about anti-war and the war crimes of Franco, the president back then. For me, if I can even achieve the same level as Picasso in the Guernica painting, then I know I've done my job right. I've actually made people think. I've actually made people aware of a very very serious global issue, which is illegal firearms. If you think about illegal firearms in the world and gun violence, how much is it? How much does it cost? To put a figure on it, it's been researched, it's 400 billion US dollars. So does this make this metal the most precious metal on earth because it's saving human life and the value of it? So it makes you beg to wonder, what is the value of this metal? What is going to be the value of the piece of artwork that I'm going to do?
Do you consider yourself a pacifist?
I think maybe in recent times I've probably become more as a pacifist, because I actually had a very much of a troubled upbringing in my own childhood, where I had to went through quite a lot of domestic abuse when I was growing up, and maybe that has made me more of a pacifist. Also, my family also have a strong military history as well. My grandfather, who fought for General Gandhi Shek in the Nationalist Army against Chairman Mao in the Civil War, he also fought against the Japanese, and he told me stories. I mean, my grandfather even taught me how to fire a gun, which is still ingrained in my memory. Me, 3 years old, being taught how to hold a revolver, and for me, that image has always kind of stuck in my mind. So maybe over the years, as I've grown older, and also reflecting on my own personal life, and also the project that it's a personal atonement, it has made me more of a pacifist, more than ever.
It's interesting they were just saying about having to hold a gun when you were so young, and now you're working with guns and ammunition and turning them into bits of art.
Yeah.
Is it a strange transition to look back and think of that memory and then think of what you're accomplishing and what you're doing now with those materials?
I think for me, I think things come in full circle when it comes to about with this project. I think we become who we are through our childhood, and our memories of childhood. And I think that for me to work with this material, I mean, I grew up in the 1980s during the Cold War era. I mean, I remember when the Berlin Wall fell. I remember the almost near causes of the nuclear arms, even the Tiananmen Square massacre, even now in Hong Kong protests. It's funny, with my kind of cultural heritage and my cultural links with being Chinese and also being in Hong Kong, and also have that military kind of background, it is quite interesting to actually think that I'm actually working with materials that were once used to take a human life, but now I'm actually using them to create something. I wouldn't say create a life, but create something that's meaningful and symbolic.
I think that might be everything, unless there's anything else you want to add that we didn't touch upon during the interview.
I think what I like to emphasize is that by being the first artist to actually even attempt this, I think it's quite important for me as an artist to contribute to Scottish contemporary art, because I feel that with a lot of artists these days, there's a sense of self-preservation, and I think as an artist, all artists or all human beings have a moral obligation and duty to try to make this world a better place. I mean, I am quite a social activist. I mean, I do support, such as the Hong Kong protests. I support, like for example, the environmental issues, like the Greta as highlighted. So I think over the years, I think I've become more of I wouldn't say a political activist, and I think that's a bit extreme, but more of a social activist. And I feel that as a human being, it's important for me to actually contribute to actually making this world a better place, if you can call it that. So
I think that's everything.
okay, thanks.
I'll stop recording as well.
Okay.